Hi, this is Alex Helmbrecht, the Sports Information Director at Chadron State College, and I'm sitting here with Chadron State women's basketball coach Tim Connealy. The Eagles suffered a tough weekend in the Denver area on Friday and Saturday, suffering a 65-59 setback to a tough Colorado Mines team, and then that was followed by a 91-64 setback at Colorado Christian. That puts the Eagles at 1-6 overall. More importantly, 1-3 in the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference. Chadron State still has 3 games remaining in the 2012 portion of the schedule, beginning with this Saturday and Sunday at Regis and Metro State. We will talk about those games here in a minute, and then the Eagles will also play Monday, December 31st at Wayne State in a non-conference matchup. Coach, just beginning with Colorado Mines, a pretty good game, really. The two similarly matched opponents, the Eagles and Colorado Mines. Neither team had a huge lead. Colorado Mines got it up to about 14 with about 5 minutes into the second half, but to your girls' credit, they chipped back and fought and almost made it a one-possession game there at the end.
Yeah, like you said, I thought it was a very well-matched game. I thought both teams, play a similar style. We both like to play kind of a pressure man-to-man half-court defense offensively. Not a lot of sets from either team. It's more of a free-flowing 4-out, 1-in type motion. But, Mines, they're physical, they're aggressive, and I think maybe their upperclassmen helped them out a little bit, especially late in that basketball game. Like you'd mentioned, they put on a little bit of a run coming out of the second half, opened up a 14-point lead, and our kids just weren't fully able to recover from that run. We were able to close it to, I think, 4 points a couple times in the last few minutes, but Mines has some seniors and juniors that have been here before, and you just tell late in the game their execution was just a little bit better than ours, and they were getting the shots they wanted. They weren't necessarily making them, but you can tell that they were going through their offensive progressions and getting the looks they wanted, and I think that's something our kids will learn from, but it was a great college basketball game. I think our kids grew up a lot.
Katie Ranta had her second double-double of the season, finishing with 12 points and 10 boards. And Dallas Shaw added 15 points and 6 rebounds. And then another great performance from Greer Babb. She had 6 points, 7 rebounds, both season highs for her. Kate Simonton added 9 points. And then Lisa Durden, who was seeing her first extended action of the season, finished with 8 points and 7 boards in just 25 minutes. So it was good to get her back on the court. Coach, I know probably something that really ate at you that night was the Eagles just got to the free throw line 8 times, just making 7 of 8, kind of settling for long jumpers, finishing 6 of 24, 3-point line. I know that was something that you probably really emphasized in your walkthrough against Colorado Christian, and then on Saturday you guys get to the line 16 times, making 14 of them. I know the game was kind of lopsided and got out of hand in the second half because of their defense, but you're at a position with your team and in the season where you're working on the little things for the bigger picture.
Yeah, it is, and this is a team that we faced earlier this year, and they really kind of did whatever they wanted to us. I think they beat us by about 40 points, but it wasn't just the score differential, it's how they did it. We were never in that basketball game from the get-go, and this was a completely different atmosphere, a completely different game. I thought our kids came in and we prepared very well for their full court pressure. I thought we handled it well, came out and opened up an 8-point lead early in the game, and really kind of hung with them in the first half. We were really slowing the tempo down, really taking good shots, being deliberate offensively. And then in the second half, Christian kind of opened up a little bit of a lead on us, and some of our girls kind of panicked and started reverting back to what they wanted to do last time, as far as taking people one-on-one, taking quick shots, really speeding the tempo of the game up. And that's what Christian likes to do, and you could kind of see in the second half where the game got away from us is where we got away from our game plan. But hopefully we can learn from that as well, and in the future when things kind of get out of hand, hopefully we can have the maturity to stick to our offensive and defensive game plans.
Yeah, like you said, it is a process, and usually it seems ever since Christian has kind of utilized that full court pressure man-to-man, the first game's kind of a little lopsided, and then the second game you can kind of see the I guess how your girls have learned and how have progressed, and with having such a young team, it's good to have experiences like this. The Eagles finished with 4 players in double figures, led by a season-high 14 from Sadie Waugh, who actually played 31 minutes, and Sadie's kind of been battling some nagging injuries, so I'm sure you're happy to see that.
Yeah, very happy for her. She was not able to go through a chunk of our preseason conditioning program just because of those nagging injuries, and even early on in practice, she kind of wasn't able to get through full practices, and these last few weeks, those injuries have started to heal, and she's just been able to get through practices, consistently, and because of that, her conditioning level's starting to come back, and you can see her minutes increasing because of that.
Well, the Eagles are back on the road this weekend, playing at Regis on Saturday. That's a 5 p.m. tip. And then they play at Metro State on Sunday, starting at 3 p.m. The reason the games are on Saturday and Sunday this weekend is because there's graduation on both of those campuses. And there's actually graduation here at Chadron State, too. So if the games were here, they probably would have been Saturday and Sunday as well. Regis is currently 9th in the RMAC. They're 2-5 overall, 1-2 in the conference. And they really started the conference season off kind of on a shocking note, defeating Metro State, who was preseason nationally ranked in the top 10, 65-62. But they've really had two disappointing losses since then. They suffered a 61-43 setback at Pueblo last weekend, and then that was followed by a 68-54 loss at the University of Colorado Springs. Coach, just looking at Regis, what do you kind of know about them?
Well, I know that they've played three of the tougher teams in our conference so far, and they've played them pretty well. You know, they're like you mentioned, they're 1-2, but they've been in for the majority of those games. Even against Pueblo, that was a good game, the majority of that basketball game. So I know they've had the same coach there for 30 years. I know exactly what they're going to do offensively and defensively. It's just a matter of stopping it. You know, they're very good. A couple of their scores, Sarah Feeney is a very good inside-outside type player. Taylor Purdy's also a dynamic player. She's a former freshman of the year in our conference. So I know that, you know, offensively they're going to run a 4-out, 1-in, kind of a triangle type motion, a lot like the LA Lakers kind of run. But they do it very well. They've been doing it a long time, so we're really going to have to lock them down defensively. As
Coach mentioned, Regis has 4 players in averaging at least 7 points a game. Feeney is the team's leader at 12.4 points. And then Taylor Purdy, who really is probably one of the more well-rounded and dynamic players in the RMAC at 11.4 and 6 boards a game. And then that'll be followed by a game at Metro State, a team that you've probably had a chance to watch playing at a tournament there over Thanksgiving, before Thanksgiving, but kind of a team who it really, by their standards, are having a disappointing year. They're 4-4 overall, 2-1 in the conference. Interestingly enough, 1-2 at home, which is kind of rare for Metro State women's basketball teams at this point in the season. But they're not necessarily a typical Metro team. Teams are actually scoring more than 60 points on them in a game, and they are just having a 500 record. What do you kind of know about the Roadrunners?
Well, I know they've lost a lot of kids from last year's team, and this is a very, very new-look team from a player standpoint, but their system is the same. You know, defensively, they're running the same tough man-to-man system. Offensively, they're still running that methodical screening-type motion where it's predicated on setting screens and flashing to the ball. This team is young. They're new to Coach Have's system, but I think as this season progresses, you're going to see them get a lot more comfortable. We did have an opportunity to watch them play in Denver a couple weeks ago, and you could tell they were just a little out of sync. You know, they weren't really playing together that well defensively. On the offensive end, they had some kids on last year's team that were role players that were having to handle the ball a lot more and had a lot more responsibility on the offensive end. So you could tell they were a little bit uncomfortable earlier in the year. We have watched a couple games on film this week, and they are starting to mesh a little bit, and defensively that intensity is starting to come back. So I can only imagine that as this year goes on, Metro is going to be a team to deal with.
Yeah, Metro is never really a flashy team. You can watch an entire game, and you probably wouldn't remember one play from it, but they always seem to kind of come out on top. They have 5 girls who are averaging at least 8 points a game, and those same 5 girls have all played nearly over 200 minutes. So kind of a short bench, a very physical game. That should be a good one for fans to watch. Coach, and then you know, with it almost being Christmas, finals week is here upon us. You know, the girls are going to be done with their test by the time you hit the road. So you have a lot to look forward to, 2 games on the road. What's your preparation going to be like during that week of Christmas, though, with playing that game at Wayne State on New Year's Eve?
Well, it's always a little different, and it's always a little tough to adjust to. You know, the reason we do schedule that game is we like to get a non-conference game under our belt before we start conference again coming back from break, just because it is an extended break. We're giving our kids 9.5, 10 days off, and, you know, kids will go home and they'll enjoy the holidays, and they might not get in the gym as much as they should, and we know that. So bringing them back, we'll bring them back and practice on the 27th. We'll get, you know, practice the 27th, 28th, 29th, and then we'll have to hit the road the 30th. So hopefully, you know, we can get a couple good days under our belt and get our legs under us before we have to go and play Wayne.
Well, I'll be back from Kearney visiting my parents on the 28th, so if you need me to get some buddies to play some noon ball against them, let me know.
All right, I appreciate that.
But, Coach, best of luck to you, and Merry Christmas. Thank you.
All right, you too.